I'm Coach Dave. Welcome back to Coach's Corner.
Come on.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Coach's Corner. Coach Dave McDonough here today. I want to thank our subscribers, all our followers out there, checking us out on YouTube, Coach Dave CT. Back again is my friend, colleague, AJ Galante, owner of Champs Boxing in Danbury, Connecticut. We have some really exciting stuff going on in the month of June here. He's a very, very busy man, but not only in the boxing world, we have our Summer Sizzler June 14th in the Danbury Arena. Tickets still available. Check us out on social media. Going to be a really, really, really good event. But more so, the breaking news is, once again, AJ has found his way back into the world of hockey again, and we'll kind of give it to him in a second. And you will be having your third back to Ice Wars.
Yes.
Which for a lot of people out there, combat sports on ice, two hockey players fighting it out. Yourself and Charlie Nama, you have a little representation from BKFC here, putting their stamp on it with you, but your event is in Detroit, June 14th, and I'll kind of turn it over to you and let you tell us how this all transpired again. And I know it's exciting. You've been working hard, matching these fights, and a lot of good feedback in the combat world sports here. So I'll turn it over to you, AJ.
Yeah, it's wild. It's life. I mean, it's always chaos, it seems, for us. We just got our hands in so much, but like I said, Ice Wars came about a little bit after the Trasher documentary came out. So we're talking, the documentary came out August of 2021. A few months later, I actually got approached by a gentleman who used to be a scout for the Trashers. He said, hey, I really think you should meet this guy named Charlie. He's from the Detroit area, originally from Canada. He has this crazy concept, and we think you'd be perfect for it. So I said, all right. And I got on the phone with Charlie, and what a lot of people don't know is Charlie was actually part of the group back in the early 2000s. They tried this concept once, and it was pretty successful. For whatever the reason, they called it the Battle of the Hockey Enforcers. So it was a hockey fight tournament. And at the time, the early 2000s, there was a lot of really tough hockey guys, and big cash prize at the end. I believe my buddy Dean Mayran won that one. That's the early 2000s, and for whatever the reason, they just couldn't keep up with it. I don't really know why. I know Charlie kind of explained, but he said, look, we've been so close, but we think, with your background with the Trashers, and of course, honestly, with the documentary, there's a lot of momentum there, but, more so your experience in boxing and all, this could be a nice thing. So I never say no as it is, but I'm like, this is the closest I'm ever going to be to Vince McMahon, this is like WWE for me.
And you're taking something from the ground up, even though it had a little starting point. Now you're putting your twist where you can brand it, you can create it. You're great at matchmaking and building relationships in the sport. So I think, a lot of people don't realize that about you.
Well,
the back end stuff that you do.
Well, listen, this literally, like I try to tell people, this is a legitimate combat sport that we had to get a rule book approved. It's wild, right? It's hockey fights, but it's a legit sport. It's prize fighting on ice, I guess you could call it. It is hockey fights, but there's no hockey going on. But literally, literally from the ground up, and it was a lot of work, and we had 2 shows in Edmonton in the summer of 2022. I'll never forget it. I have such a soft spot for Edmonton because that was the first time I've ever been to Canada. Sorry, Simon. And our buddy in Montreal has been always trying to get us to Montreal, which is an easy drive, but my first experience in Canada is all the way to across the country in Edmonton. But it was wild. So it basically worked as our proof of concept shows, trial shows, whatever you want to call them. And it was wild. We got a lot of feedback on social media. Pat McAfee covered it. A lot of people were excited about it. And then unfortunately, we had to take a small hiatus because, these fights cost money and it's a lot. And, we had some internal scrambling, nothing negative, but just some movements and stuff. And I never thought it would die, but about a year ago, I figured Ice Wars is done. You know what I mean? We had the 2 trial shows. It'd be a nice memory. Made some met Diamond Hands Daniel Ainsbury through it, who's now like a brother to us. So I never have any regrets. But I figured it was over, and
here you are again.
Here we are.
They pulled you back in.
What?
They pulled you
Every
back
time
in.
I think I'm out, they pulled me back in.
Yeah.
But here we are.
And look, for people who don't know Charlie Nama, I've met him through you. Very, very passionate man about it. And, he's well known in the hockey field. You and guys are putting this together. Your first event with Ames. I mean, you put a really, really good first 2 events on. Like, major fights. We saw what happened with Ames as he progressed through that in his career, not only becoming, known as a fighter off the ice and, relevant in the hockey world now. So, you kind of built that back up. But here you guys are back again going to Detroit. What's going to be different this time? You're in it now. You've worked out some of the kinks. You've broke your cherry with it. You got a good response. And the other factor is, before I let you jump in, combat sports is really at every level. We're seeing not only boxing, UFC, all, kickboxing, hand slap, but there are all forms of these little combat sports, Team Combat League in boxing, Dana White. Well, there's so many people trying to set in here. What do you think is going to be different for you guys this time?
You're right. You know what it is? People love conflict, whether it's arguing with someone over politics on Facebook, or people love fights. They love conflict. And I don't know what that says about us, but people love it.
Well, we're old hockey guys, okay? I carry a couple of years on you, but basically we're hockey guys, right?
Yeah.
I grew up in the sport. The conflict of fighting and hockey go together. It's hand in hand. It's oil and vinegar. You can put, it's black and blue. It's all that stuff put together, and it's just something that you're not creating something that wasn't already there. You're just taking it.
Well, I think, if you look at the spectrum of hockey as a whole, like most sports, it's evolved. And I'm an old school hockey fan, started watching in the 90s, and it was rough and tumble. And my love for the rough and tumble took us to the Trashers. That's how we designed that team. Now it's still there. There's some tough guys in hockey, but the fighting, it's really an unsaid thing, but it's really frowned upon a little more now in hockey. It's a little more strategic.
Well, is it because now in hockey, now you have more high-priced players? So we're not, as a team, this as, you don't want to see your top guy getting cracked out there that you're paying millions of dollars, that he has a target on his back every day. So you know what? Years ago, hockey didn't have the presence it did today. It wasn't out there. Now it's being promoted at every level, streaming, the gear. Players are better. They're bigger, faster, stronger than they ever were. They're phenoms out there to the fans.
You're right. And look, sports is always a reflection of life. I feel like things have evolved, and hockey is way more popular than it was 20-something years ago. So it's politics. It's advertisers paying billions of dollars. They, I'm learning all this stuff plays. Like, do they want to see guys, chucking punches at each other every day? But it's with every decline is an opportunity. So we and Charlie was a genius to really think about this. It's like, even though what we're doing isn't a hockey game, there is an element, there's a nostalgia to it that people just love hockey fights. I mean, I can't even tell you how many times, like, I just literally, it sounds stupid, but I just go to the game for a fight. And it still happens, just not as prominent. But what I've noticed with Ice Wars is my biggest concern when we started it a few years ago, and even now, was how many guys really want to do this, I was shocked how many young guys want to do this. And I was shocked because hockey now is being developed, like you said, a lot different, more skill-based, faster, not reliant too much on physical stuff. So I figured those guys, it's not in their DNA anymore. The reality is they're looking for an outlet to fight on the ice. And, I've had a guy, which I won't reveal names, but a big junior player, I always look out for guys. I'm like, look, you got a future. Let's not worry about Ice Wars right now. You know, we don't need a fluke happening. But hey, coach, I'm not allowed to fight. I'm not allowed to fight out there. I want to fight. I want to, even if it's once, I want to feel that adrenaline. I want an outlet. And we can provide that for these guys. And you made a really good point. More so, you know, this isn't just a combat sport where, you know, guys are throwing and get a couple bucks and hee-haw, that's it. This is a major outlet for them to promote themselves. Daniel Amesbury is the perfect success story in the little we've had Ice Wars. Met him, you know, he won the first ever King of the Rink tournament. And then, you know, talking with the hat trick guys that summer, like, we need some time. I said, did you see Diamond Hands from Ice Wars? Brings them down. They win a championship. He has a ring, and now he's in the East Coast Hockey League, 2 rungs from the NHL. I mean, a lot of
he reinvented himself. Yeah, I mean, through Ice Wars, and look, you know, we know Ames. Ames is a tough guy. You know, and not only on the hockey rink. Look, he had some influencer fights. Yeah, was a mainstay in there, and I think to get back to your thing with the hockey, there's the rivalries, and you know what? We see the evolution, right? Like everybody, you know, we'll talk about bare knuckle when that came about. It was like, what is this? Look at the momentum that's gaining. So you're talking about people that want to come out and fight. All these gyms, you know, now being in the gym business, there's so many gyms around the country. There are guys out there that want to go on and maybe put their foot in the water in combat sports and show off where, like, okay, I can skate and I can fight a little bit. I don't need an 8 or a 10-week training camp like a boxer or an MMA fighter, and I can go out there and do what I've been doing my whole life.
Yeah, I mean, our fights as of right now are just simply 2 1-minute rounds and a 30-second tiebreak round if needed. There's never going to be a draw in Ice Wars. It's one thing I hate about boxing is draws. So that's one of the rules I always wanted. There'll never be a draw, which is, I think, good for the fans. It's good for... I get draws can add to rematch. I hate that stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's really... There is skill that goes into hockey fights, believe it or not, but I think it's really the ultimate test of guts and balls, to be honest, to be frank with you. It's totally different, you know. It's short fights. You don't have time to rest. You don't have time to strategize too much. And yeah, and you said it, you know, one thing about fighters, true fighters, most of them want to try something once. You know what I mean? Like a fighter, if like a guy who, you know, combat sports, you know, boxing fights are few and far between for guys. You know, these guys always in between, like, get the urge. I want to fight now. And if
we'll go back to our friend Daniel. I mean, Daniel, you started him off with Ice Wars, and then how many times? I got this. Okay, relax. You had to talk him off the ledge here and there. But he wants to fight at that point. He gets that momentum, and, you know, going back into this now and to start to see, like you said, it's 2 minutes. I could skate and I could fight.
And by the way, skating, you got to know how to skate, obviously, but it's not like you're on the power play, right? You don't have to skate end to end. I mean, yes, we like to have proof that you can skate because there are guys that try to sneak in.
We want you to stand up.
Yeah, we want you to at least stand up and could stride a little bit, but it's not like you don't have to be Bobby Orr out there. You know what I mean? And it's a heart thing. If you have the heart, and that's why I tell people, to me, it's harder than, I don't want to say real hockey fights because this is real hockey. A real hockey game, like Ice Wars is tougher. Like a fight in Ice Wars is tougher than a fight on the ice in a game because, let me tell you, a lot of hockey fights, they happen kind of organically. Guys get heated up and you know, someone runs a goalie and you're angry and it just happens. You don't have time to think about it sometimes. The average hockey fight's probably 12 to 13 seconds. A lot of guys grab on and fall and that's it. Listen, Ice Wars, when you sign a contract,
yeah, you're fighting.
It's like, but you're fighting. Yeah. You have to think, and you know.
The ref's not jumping in after 10 seconds to break you up. And
No. So a lot of these really, you know, we've vetted a lot of guys. And I mean, we have a very large roster right now of Ice Warriors and we're going to grow. But a lot of the like tough hockey guys, you know, who play high level, I know for a fact a lot of them are a little nervous. They want to do it, but they realize this is totally different. And, you know, I don't want to go in against a semi-pro guy who has nothing to lose,
Right.
and he's hungry. And this is the other thing too. In the old days, our days watching hockey, Trasher days, way before, one thing the enforcer in hockey always had was training camp. Training camp was almost must-see TV for a lot of these teams because a lot of guys got brought up, and that was their chance to show what they got. You know, you're a prospect on the Chicago Blackhawks. You're coming up for camp, the Red Wings, and Bob Probert's there. That's not fun, but you want to challenge Bob Probert to show this team and coach, wow, this kid's got some balls. That doesn't happen in hockey. And you don't have those training camp opportunities for the tough guys. So when you get a Daniel Amesbury or a Justice Smoke or Braden Boschman or, some of these guys on the cusp, they don't have the opportunity to get showcased at a training camp. And trust me, I don't care what anyone says, a lot of people in hockey, Federal League, lower minor league hockey, pro, paid professional sport, they're watching these guys. And, I know for a fact, Corey Allen's another guy. He fought in Ice Wars 1 and 2, and he got some time in the Federal League a year ago, played 20 games, I think. So these guys wouldn't normally get these opportunities anymore. In the old days, people, like I remember talking to Brad Wingfield, Trasher legend, he used to pray to get into training camps to show he's tough and he's not afraid, and that's got him where he got him because these coaches recognize, wow, this kid is tough and he's got heart. You don't see that anymore in real hockey. So the exposure these guys can get, it's really unreal.
A lot of things, like after working with you at the gym now and watching a lot of the stuff and being part of what you do behind the scenes, not only in the gym, but, in the hockey world and learning, you called yourself a modern day Vince McMahon, which if people really know you, I know you're a big wrestling guy and you do think about the business end of that. You came in here and put your twist on this design. Like, okay, we have the two fighters, but now you're putting it together so it is a league, something to be reckoned with. How did you come about with all of this stuff? You had the raw idea, right? Okay. Now you're taking it to the level of, what you did with the Trashers, that branding level, making it out there, with social media out there for the public to see, making it exciting. So, somebody comes and says, hey, I'm going to Ice Wars. I'm going to drop my whatever it is for a ticket. I want to have a great experience, not only watching it, but, from the uniforms, the design. You do it all there. Like, I don't think a lot of people realize that about you. Like, for people who saw the documentary, figure, hey, you were just put in and, hey, you didn't know anything. But a lot of that stuff was you. That whole building aspect, and that's what you do very, very well, which again, a lot of people don't realize. They just think, oh, yeah, whatever the case may be. But there's a lot of thought and a lot of hours and a lot of time and a lot of, like talking today, you got a match that fell out, you're filling that void.
Yeah.
You got stuff going on all the time. How did you come about it all? And working with Charlie, because Charlie give you the the raw pieces.
I don't know. I think that's a great question. I don't know. I think you're very much like that as well. I just think you either have it or you don't. I don't really think it's rocket science. I think a lot of people have the same ideas. They're just afraid to do it. I think a lot of guys have probably thought about, hey, there should be a hockey fight league. You know what I mean? But they're scared.
Yeah, but your detail is a little different, right?
Yeah,
and people who know you, really look, you're thinking about uniform colors. You're thinking about what design should I have on the helmet if we're doing it. Like details like, okay, a lot of people wouldn't think about that detail. Why?
I get a lot of that. I get a lot of that from my dad, and honestly, growing up with him, and back before we were involved with Trashers or sports of any sort, he had AW, all the garbage companies, and I used to go to every day of the summer since I was 5 years old. I guess I just absorbed it. His attention to detail is second to none. We joke about. I told you the story about striping the truck, and he sees that stripe is a millimeter off. Got to strip it. And I used to think my dad was, being a dick,
as kids, we're like, what are you doing?
But as I gotten older, when it's your thing, like look, whether I own something or not, if I'm attached to something, I really take it serious. Like I take it like if someone takes a chance on bringing me in to be involved with something, I really take that really serious. I almost look like I got to put on a masterpiece every time with something, and it's never perfect, but like an artist, they always want one of one pieces. I everything I'm involved with, whether it's a boxing event, Ice Wars, anything, I want it to, I put that pressure because I think that's really what drives me. And I don't know, I'm just okay with the chaos. I don't know why. It's
the
odd.
chaos is going to come with it no matter what. Okay, we know that. Putting an event on is not easy. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of behind the scenes that people don't see to put that event on, to get to the final night. And even, the hour before the event, you're still sitting there hoping that, everything goes off right. Let me ask you this. Is it because, look, you started the Trashers so young and you were under pressure as a young man to perform, and you put a great product out there, right, with the assistance of a lot of people, right? A lot of people. And I know when I, started with you in the gym, and I would, I'm like, you, even in the beginning stages of Champs Boxing, you were like, nope, we're going to do it this way. You didn't deviate from that, and we are where we are 10 years later because of that. And, I start to see that vision. But do you feel now, okay, when you went into Ice Wars, this is you on your own, post-Trasher. Post what I did, and like, think, you've put boxing shows on, did a great job with the pro show and Danbury amateur shows we have, but now you're in your element. Now you really want to knock it out of the park here.
Yeah, listen, I mean, honestly, and I don't just say it to say it, everything I do, it's always a team environment. But yeah, this one, I guess I was so used to growing up, and most of the opportunities I got was through my father, and that put a lot of, people don't know that's a lot of pressure too. But when someone, like a stranger, I didn't know Charlie from a hole in the wall, like for a stranger to come to you and want to give you, like, this is important, and for him, this is his baby. Like, for someone that you don't even know, not family, just doesn't know you, just has a hunch about you, for them to give you, like, hey, like, here's the baby, take care of it. There's a lot of pressure and pride that comes with that. And whether or not you're putting monetary value into it, like, payroll or this, whether you're doing it or not, if you're part of that, you have a responsibility to do the best you can. I mean, I lose sleep over a lot of this stuff. And yeah, I guess part of it is to tread. You know what? I'll agree. I think we all try to prove stuff to ourselves. And I was like, you know what? My father, we're a tag team no matter what, whether he's physically with me somewhere or not. I bounce ideas off him, but this was a little different in that he wasn't directly involved in the day-to-day stuff. So I think it was a chance for me, I think more so to prove something to myself. And, I think we do that every day. I think when that pressure is off, it's over, no matter what you're doing in life. I think, and you're the same way. There's a lot of pressure. Everything we do is, look, I guess it's a hunt. It's the hunt.
It's the hunt, and we want to be successful. And you know what? We know, right? Combat sports or sports, if you're not all in, and when I mean all in, like you said, because there's a village, there's people on the ground, there's people behind the scenes, there's so much support going on, that if we had to sit here, we'd be here for days talking about people, right? But you have to be all in to be successful.
Yeah.
I don't think, any other way. The other thing is, look, you created a brand for, the gym, yourself, the people around us. We walk in, whether it's boxing, it's, and even the Ice Wars, even Daniel, we worked with Daniel. You had other hockey players coming down to the gym, utilizing our network to get better, to do this. And you know what? Like, coming off the success for the Trashers, right? People had that want to see what you were going to do again. A lot of people saying, "Oh, you're going to go back into hockey." Here you are in a total different realm, but still hockey. But not now. It's a startup, and it's like, oh man, And the first event, even though it wasn't here in the States, you hit it out of the park, and there was momentum, great response and great feedback on it. And now, talking about the fights, you have some great talent. You have a lot of people reaching out for you. What's the criteria for you? You're a great matchmaker, and we're going to talk about our amateur show a little bit too. What is the criteria for you now? Your third show in here, you're a day smarter than when you were the first time. You have an idea of what the product you want to put out. You're matching this now. What is the criteria for you when you're matching this?
It's not that much different from boxing. You want to put together a fight where, frankly, nobody's in danger. I try not to mismatch at all.
But the thing that comes to this here, because that hockey world is vast.
Yeah.
And it runs deeper. You know these little guys like, okay, you're talking about this guy in Manitoba, Canada, right? There might be 3 other guys in the world that know about this guy. You know about this guy. So you're picking matches. Yes, you're going to match them the best you want, right? The best case. But to find that guy.
Well, listen.
Because now your pool has become deeper.
Yeah. I do have, so it's so funny. Like, I've gotten really close with a couple of guys through social media that I've known for a while too, even Trasher Days. A guy named Darren is a big time hockey podcast called The Fourth Line Voice. Darren's like one of us. He's from Saskatchewan. Okay. There's a couple other guys, Bruised and Battered podcast. These are hockey fight podcasts that
diehards.
Like they're few and far between.
Yeah.
And I talk to these guys almost daily, and they've become like almost scouts. Darren actually was the one out in Saskatchewan that told me there's this kid, Brendan Curry, a native. He's 6'3", 245. He can fight, AJ. I tell you, I don't know Brendan Curry. I don't know. I'm not in Manitoba. Darren's like, send me video, send me pictures, and it clicked. I'm like, wow, this guy has something. I tell people, your net worth is your network. Our network is vast. People like dealing with us because we're fair. We treat everyone good. And it all comes back around. Like a lot of these podcast guys, like I take them serious. A lot of these guys, they're looked at as, who's this guy? I want those guys because they're hungry. I had guys, guy named Alec and Jay, they may be going to the Michigan fight. Hey, this one, that one. And you listen to them. They're boots on the ground. They're the ones that I'm not in Michigan. I'm not in Ohio. I'm not. So I rely on, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but I rely on these guys. You're like, hey, send me whatever. I mean, we'll vet them. We'll look. We'll see. But yeah, it's to put the matches together. It's you got to think short and long term. You got to think, okay, so this is a league now. This is these are guys, a lot of them. It's like boxing, right? You got, you look at any Top Rank or whoever, they got guys, the top tier who they want to build. And then they got guys that are on their roster that maybe aren't world champions, but they're territory guys. They got a name. You go their territory to sell tickets.
Yeah.
It's no different than Ice Wars. We got guys that and look, that's the crazy thing. We've only done this so many times. We don't know what we have with a lot of these guys. Like in boxing, at least you could do some research. We don't know who's who yet. So we don't, the whole A side, B side thing, we don't know who's what. So it's going to be like, we're learning as we go. There are some guys that were with us from the beginning that I know have already proven, like, there's guys you want to build, and frankly, they can. A lot of guys can't be on every show. So
now
a lot of strategy. You have
2 shows back to back. You don't not only dive in and say, let's go do one show, test the water again, right? And I know this is, I'm gonna put Charlie on the spot here because, Charlie would book up every weekend if he had the possibility to do it. Look, he's I got to spend some time with him in January in Philadelphia, and he's just a passionate guy.
Well, you said all in, and Charlie is all in.
Yeah.
And if Charlie wasn't an all-in guy, I wouldn't want to be involved because you said it. For some reason, there's something about combat sports that everybody thinks they can just dive in. I don't know what it is. And you got to be a little nuts to be all in, like us and Charlie, but...
Yeah, but do you think like this, right? We talk about combat sports, right? I'm going to give you the wrestling thing. Growing up, I saw Vince McMahon as an announcer.
Yeah.
Not where he is today. You know,
Yeah.
on Saturday night, they were doing one show, black and white, at midnight on Channel 9. He was the announcer. But he lived the sport.
Yeah.
Like he was all in the sport. And I think to be successful in combat sports, okay, the guy who was running the organization, you know, you see Dana White, he's all in. These guys are all in.
You got to know how to operate every department.
Yes.
It's
But your people got to believe in you a little bit too.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you're like these, you know, I don't want to use, you're like the Pied Piper to these guys, the hockey players who want to play. They're following you and Charlie and saying, okay, we possibly have another opportunity to reinvent ourselves here.
Yeah.
But back to it, it's like, okay, so you have Detroit coming up next week. And then 2 weeks later, you're having Edmonton. So now, not only the pressure to fight one show, but to logistically do another show. And, you know, 2 weeks later, so, you know, you're back on the road and doing, when you got back with this, did you envision it to take off this fast? And
we did speak about being a little more aggressive this year. And you know, because we had the 2 trial proof of concept shows, and, you know, we're lucky enough to have, you know, a collaboration with BKFC, which brings us a lot of attention. I think our goal was ultimately, let's show BKFC what we have, you know, David Feldman, let's show them what we're about. I do think momentum plays a part. I didn't think coming right back we were going to have 2 shows in 3 weeks. No, I didn't think that. But you know what? I don't hate it because I really think after Michigan there's going to be a lot of hype and it's good to just get right back in there. But yeah, the goal was, I was told, hey, we're going to be aggressive. We're going to put on a few shows this year. And, you know, and we have a pretty vast roster right now, which makes it easy. From a matchmaking point, it's hard because there are guys on the Michigan show that I'd like in Edmonton, but you don't know. You get a knockout, you get a bad cut. I mean, these guys don't care. They'll fight with one arm half the time. But I look out for these guys, and like, I'll look a guy in the face and know he's not going to be ready in 2 weeks. And so we have some matches, you know, our card in Michigan I'm really excited about. It's actually called Battle of the Border. So we actually have 9 USA versus Canadian fighters. It's like kind of like a country pride show. And then we have 10 fights in total as of right now. We do have one fight, which is we're calling it the Midwest Mayhem grudge match. We got a kid from Wisconsin and a kid from Michigan, and that's going to be a really good fight. And then, 2 weeks later, we go back to Edmonton. It's going to be the River Cree Rumble, back where it all started, River Cree Resort and Casino, and some new faces, some faces from 2 weeks earlier, hopefully, and then we go from there. You know, I've kind of been told, maybe early September we be back, and I think that's a perfect landing spot. We may get 2 to 3 in by the end of the year. I don't know yet, but it's definitely different this time around because we have a much bigger internal team. Got a guy named Zach who's the director of operations doing a lot of this grunt work nobody wants to do, medicals, and
so, you know, with the name of Bare Knuckle BKFC, Dave Feldman and his team over there, you've adopted some of his people to be part of the team here to build this now. And look, we've had Zach Kalmus on the Bare Knuckle events training out of our gym. We've watched this evolution of Bare Knuckle going from little venues to, you know, the last one, Knucklemania, and that we were part of in January, 17,000 people in the Wells Fargo Arena, was, you know, I put it like WrestleMania. Yeah. I mean, there wasn't an empty seat. People were just crazy. And, you know, the fans in Philly.
Oh, yeah.
They're all nuts down there, too. Do you feel that the Bare Knuckle name kind of goes with the Ice Wars?
It's the perfect marriage because I like guys that take risk. I've watched my dad take risks my whole life. Dave Feldman, to me, took a risk when he came up with BKFC. Everyone right away. I didn't know one way about it or the other. I heard of it. I'll be very blunt. I didn't watch it at first. I just
No, neither did I.
And I honestly kind of thought it was a cool concept because I said, look, you got the boxing aspect, and you kind of got an MMA aspect in that it could end at any second, and it was the kind of the best of all worlds. But I thought the world's gotten a little soft. I don't know if bare knuckle fighting will last. Well, Dave Feldman showed everyone, and I love a guy who takes risk, and he took a risk. And I don't believe in geniuses. I believe in guy has a pair of balls on him. You know what I mean? And not a lot of guys are willing to take a risk and do it. And that's why I think it's a perfect marriage, because I think he probably quasi sees a little bit of that in us. Hockey fights, you know what I mean? That's, for some people, that's wild. Will never last.
Yeah, going back into the bare knuckle thing, because I'm like you, I never really watched it in the beginning stages of it, but now being part of his events, right? Sturgis, Knucklemania in Philadelphia, and again, Zach fighting again. One thing, and I said this to you when I came back, he runs an event like, I said to you, look, it was a combination of UFC meets Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
First class. And the biggest thing is like before the fights, right? Before the fights, Dave Feldman pulls everybody together in the tunnel, all the fighters, and gives up a pump-up speech like...
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that's pretty impressive. But
well, you that's one thing I was going to say. The little that I've heard about Dave Feldman has been majority like positive, and he's like a regular guy, and look, you're not gonna get 100% approval rating from everyone, but more so than not, one thing I see with BKFC than I've seen with any other combat sport, hopefully Ice Wars will be in the same league there, is that the fighters like representing BKFC. Like boxing, you know how it is. It's like we got a boxer signed to a promoter, and it's almost like there's three teams. There's the promotion, there's the fighter, and then somehow we're in the middle. We're the liaison. You know what it's like having tell the promoter this, tell the promoter this, promoter, tell the It's like we're all in the same,
ping pong.
We're all on the same team, but you don't see guys like actively representing their promotion. Boxers always seem to have, and they're okay with that, their own brand. But BKFC, the guys are rocking the BKFC shirts. They're proud to be BKFC guys. BKFC reminds me a lot of Trasher guys. Like Trasher guys had, even before documentaries and all that other stuff, people were proud to be a Trasher. And that's what I believe we have with Ice Wars, because the first two shows, there's a bond there with all those guys. Those first two shows, I mean, same thing. I remember talking in a little tiny ass room, like guys fighting each other, sitting next to each other. Hockey guys are built differently.
Yeah, I mean, it was the same thing in BK. You got opponents and everybody's sitting there, trainers, all camps, and this guy's giving you the speech. And yeah, I think it is important. That one thing what I see with BK is those guys do rep the brand. I've never heard in the events that I've been to anybody say anything negative about, the promotion, the setup.
Yeah.
I mean, everything, logistically, fighters are temperamental. They're on point with everything.
I think it's a cultural thing too, for some reason, with the sport. It's BKFC, other than bare knuckle, how much different is it really from boxing? Like, for some reason, the boxing culture, and we're entrenched in it, that's the bread and butter here. There's something about these boxers, and I've only been involved 15 years. You've been way longer. Like, I don't know what it is about the culture of, like, the BKFC guys. This is,
but it's
I don't know what
it is, right? You could assimilate to this. I think this is what I feel, right? You fight for top rank,
yeah,
right? There's not guys walking around with top rank gear.
No,
you go to BK. If you fight
That's
for BK or you, right? Like, they're rocking the gear. From the hat to the shirt.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're pumping it on their social media. Like, there's no, like, you want to wear the uniform.
Yeah,
Right?
and here's the thing. I know the difference between a guy being forced to promote something and someone. The BKFC guys want to promote. It's not like I see boxing guys do it all the time. You could say they're reading it off a scrap that's, hey, I'm with Golden Boy, and Golden Boy's the best. They don't mean it. They want to promote their own thing, which, by the way, is fine if that's what you want to do. But the BKFC guys, they want to do it. It's not like look at Zach. I know when Zach's at the gym, he's got the BKFC sticker on his bum. I mean, there's
He lives it. He pumps.
There's
the
no
juice.
one rocking a Top Rank a bumper sticker. This just don't see it. So I don't know what it is. It's very interesting, but I believe Ice Wars will be identical that way because I talked to these.
But that's something, not to cut you off, that's something that you do. You did that with the Trashers. We were talking the other day about, the colors. How did the colors come up? Because, we got something else going on and we don't need to get into that. But we were talking about colors. And I said, you came up with the idea of silver and black. But you needed to add another color.
Yeah.
So now you throw the blue in, right?
Yeah.
But this is your thing. With Ice Wars, okay, diversification of the details of what you want.
Yeah.
Right? So just to this, and Charlie, like I know you work with AJ, but I think there was 50 designs before you came up with the design for
Well,
this. Like, what do you think it is? So what do you think of that?
Yeah.
But this is how you're going
Yeah.
now. Like, I think it's important to have that brand and that logo out there.
You have to have the brand. There's a way where it could all work. And that's why I study the old WWF. And WWF, people represented that brand, but they had their own brand. Each guy has to be a character. Now, every guy on our roster, and it's happened fast, but over time will have their own logo, everyone has a nickname. That was the main thing in the beginning is, let's try not to call these guys by their names. Let's call them by their, Diamond Hands. Everyone knows Diamond Hands. You don't have to say Daniel Amesbury. My goal is every single guy has to be their own character. Not saying be fake, but their own brand.
Right, their own personality.
And at the same time, you can still build a guy because he'll be like, wow, they care about me. They're trying to. So Ice Wars and the Ice Warriors, they go hand in hand. American Gladiator, same thing growing up. Everyone knew what American Gladiator was. You can start rattling off the names of the gladiator. I see the similar. I watched a great documentary. I think it was on ESPN about the American Gladiators and how I believe there's a way where everyone can eat. It's not just about Ice Wars and it's not just about the Ice Warriors. It has to work hand in hand, and that's what BKFC seems to be doing right.
Well, the funnel down system today, right? Because, look, our generation was TV, cable, right? The athlete has to be the character because
Yes.
his social media funnels down into the top organization.
Yeah.
Without the top organization, he is really nothing. So basically, both have to promote each other, right? You want him promoting himself, which helps you, right?
Well, Dave, look at Champs. You go to our gym, which was a stupid idea on my part, but most guys that have made it in our gym, and by made I mean had a pro fight, they have their own bag. They have their own colors. And I know you love that. And it was a very stupid, expensive tradition. That's why you can't say things out of emotion. When Omar Bordoy Jr. had his first fight and won, there was an emotion there. I was excited. We're at Mohegan Sun. He was the first kind of homegrown pro out of our gym. And I remember stupidly saying, I'm buying you your own custom heavy bag. And you know what? And I don't know why I said this. Anyone who goes pro out of our gym is getting their own bag. Stupid decision because those bags aren't cheap. But you know what? You look at it now and it's nice. Everybody has like...
Yeah, but it's like for people who come into our place, right? Or the same thing, they look and they see this. They see what these little things have meaning to and they want to be a part of it, okay? So, taking it into the hockey realm of where you are now, yeah, you can go and get a white jersey and a red jersey and just give it a guy, slap a logo on.
Yeah.
But now you're taking time to create something that when that guy puts that jacket or that jersey on, and even, you go today, like you go all over the place. I'll wear a Trasher shirt and people will say, they'll know what it is.
You know what it is?
It's like, so you want that presence out there.
You know what it is too? It's consistency. It's longevity. You know, you could have the greatest logo. Look, let's be honest. Sometimes a brand is made by accident. I mean, when we created the Trashers and the logo was made, like, I don't think anyone would have thought that in 20 years later this would be going on. People could recognize this logo from Germany. Sometimes it happens by accident, but it's a longevity thing. It's you know, you got to keep.
But there was a thought process.
Yeah.
Put it into it of detail and something to say, okay, we're not just throwing any old logo. We're not just putting anything together here.
I'm glad you said that because, you know, we live in a day of AI now, and I love AI. And as I'm a tweener, I'm a very old fashioned, but I also am, I guess, young. And AI is the future. I use ChatGPT for some stuff. I still like to handwrite stuff, as you know.
Yeah.
I don't want to lose, like, I guess I'm old. I don't want to lose, like, I could still, but I think we live in a day where I think AI is the future. I've been studying about it because I think that's where everything's going in life, and that's there's a lot of pros to it.
Read the writing on the wall. It is.
But I think, and there's nothing wrong with AI, and there's nothing wrong with ChatGPT and all that stuff. I use it for a lot of stuff, but I think when it comes to a brand, when it comes to a logo, I know for a fact there was a recent professional hockey team, I'm not going to say the league, came out with a logo. I knew right away it was AI. And that's nothing wrong with that. But I knew right away it was AI. And I don't know, man. I just think when it comes to brands and like that visibility, that has to be that has to be you sketching. That has to come from the soul, man.
But we go to that, right? And I'll throw this at you because I know you're a big Raider fan. Okay. Al Davis came up with that whole concept. So, you know, and maybe younger generation guys don't know Al Davis. Okay.
Yeah.
Al Davis is not AI.
No.
If you punch AI in, you'll probably get some goofy character of Al Davis. But he was silver and black.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The logo with the Raider.
I think it's a balance thing, right? Because again, I do use Chat. Literally, it's like a friend now. I'm like, hey. I'm texting a friend. Like, what do you think? So I use it, and I think it's important.
Yeah, it's a good tool.
It's a good tool, but when it comes to a brand in terms of optics, like in an hour, I can have 70 different logos for every Ice Warrior. Like in an hour, I wouldn't want that. I want interns. I want guys that go to these poor guys that are going to school paying $100,000 and their jobs going to be taken by a computer in 2 years. I want them to feed me concepts. Let's see. Let's have interns. It's got to come from the soul. It's got to feel right. Certain things, I don't know. In 20 years, it's probably not going to be like that, but it's just I think
it's not
important.
because society's changing and they're losing people like us because the next generation is not going to give a shit if
That's why I know you make
from the heart.
I know you make fun of me on a weekly basis. That's why I like writing on a notepad.
No, because I write stuff too. I just don't. You're the only other individual that has the yellow pads. I mean, you know what I mean?
I have to write because I'm like,
yes.
I don't want to, like my son Dominic, I'm like, you know, when he's my age, he probably won't even need to write. He probably won't even.
Well, I hope you're leaving some of that stuff to him that he can eventually look at it and say, "Well, this is what you were doing."
Yeah, it's crazy.
But,
it's like relics now.
Yeah, I mean, exciting time. We're going to 360 here a little bit too because just to throw another thing on your plate, you know, we have our annual Summer Sizzler.
Yeah,
big event at the Danbury Ice Arena, one of the best amateur shows around. So you know, you not only had to do Ice Wars. You said, "Let me tell you, I'm gonna keep the tradition going in June to keep the amateur show." So you're doing double duty before you leave. You know, helping to get this set up. And everything else. And, you know, the Summer Sizzler's become a tradition.
Yeah.
You know, we're not just only putting an amateur show. When you had the ability to get the Ice Arena, it was a no-brainer. Right? I mean, like, really think about this as an athlete, where you're fighting. I'm not fighting in Joe's gym and blah, blah, blah. I'm fighting in an Ice Arena, beautiful, you know, facility. And now, you know, well, initially the first one we started at the War.
Yeah. Wow,
you know,
it feels like 1,000 years
And that place
ago.
was packed, the first
and
one.
hot. Literally was a sizzler.
Yeah, it was.
No AC.
No AC. Yeah, we had some added adventures going on also as usual, but that's for another day. But, you know, you've taken this and run now with the Sizzler, and it's starting to take a life of its own, sort of like Ice Wars. Now, in the beginning, you know, always tough to match fights, you know, and you're very diplomatic about it, but you've become very You know, in matchmaking in boxing, like any other matchmaker, it's not easy. We can match fights. You know, we could take this one and that one, just throw it together. It takes a little, you know, a little thought to like, okay, is there a rivalry? Is the two gyms, the logistics? What do we have here? We want to kind of match evenly. And I think, you know, over the years, we've had some, you know, we've had national champions fight out of there. You know, future pros.
Ali Feliz had his first ever amateur fight at the first Summer Sizzler at the War Memorial. How he found an opponent for him at the time, he was 12 or 13, I don't know.
He was 13 years old. I think he fought somebody, whatever.
From
age.
Louis Rose's gym, actually.
Yeah.
Good fight, too. Ali pulled it out. But listen, I mean, it's one of those shows now, like you said, it's longevity. This is our 7th one. We had to take some breaks because of COVID but you try to do something nice because, like I said, I mean, we've done shows in little venues and stuff. That's traditionally where amateur shows are, club shows. But you know, we're very lucky to have the relationship with the arena. They're unbelievable to us, and you know, the Diamond Brothers, Chris, Herm, and all them. But yeah, it's become a thing now, like you said, and I didn't design it this way where Ice Wars and Summer Sizzler would be on the same day. It just happened that way. But yeah, it's longevity, it's quality. People, they know, okay, it's never, amateur shows never go perfect, but yeah, this is a cool show. We're in an arena.
Yeah, most of the amateur fighters are looking forward to being on this event. I hear it in gyms. Hey, when's the Sizzler? You guys matched? How can I get on? Or, you know, look, you know, it's basically who's available. You know, as long as there's no other shows. Yeah,
matchmaking, it's not fun. But again, you got to know all the departments. It's longevity. We've thrown a lot of shows, and I've always kind of I've gotten a lot of help. I mean, it's not just one person. You've gotten me so many lists, but you learn the matchups. You kind of have an idea. Like,
well, now we know the players that are a little more and far in the beginning. Not that we didn't know them, we had to rely on other people to tell us.
Yeah.
We pretty much have, like you said, boots on the ground.
Well,
now.
It's all reliability. Like, listen, I don't care if the kid sucks. If it comes from a gym that I know is reliable, that's the main thing.
Well, that's the other factor. In amateur boxing, there's no accountability if you don't show up. If you don't show up at the last minute, we're kind of screwed. So, you know, we definitely want to have gyms that are showing up. But, you know, the key is the matchups. We've had some great matchups over the year.
Yeah.
I mean, Ali Feliz, made his amateur show there and fought Gilbert Camboa, both high level.
Oh, man, that was one of the, let me tell you, I mean, that fight, was that Sizzler 5? I think that was the 5th Summer Sizzler, right before he went pro.
Yeah.
And Gilbert is an unbelievable fighter. I mean, that was one of the greatest fights I ever personally saw in boxing. I mean, I remember the first Summer Sizzler, Omar Bordoy fought a kid.
I was just going to say that. He fought
Sherrod. From, at the time, it was Hartford Boxing Center, which is now 4 Ropes.
That was an awesome fight.
That was one of the greatest amateur fights I ever saw. So, as you build a brand, right? As you build, like, again, I get a lot of heat for giving belts out. We just started doing belts last year. Which I don't care. I know belts in boxing has become a hot button issue. There's too many of them. I get it. But, for me, I tried doing the rings, which I thought were cool. I was a little surprised. I thought more people would be more excited than the rings than they were. But we did the chains. We did a bunch of stuff. But I'm like, you know what? Let's just come up with a belt. But cool, different belt.
The belt is the,
And people, look, for better or worse, I know the old timers hate it, but the kids get excited to fight for a belt. And you know what? Let's be real. I mean, it's not like boxing's the most. I think people, one thing my dad always instilled in me is you got to roll with the times. Things change. Boxing, this isn't like the 1950s where people are dressing up in tuxes to go to the fights and there's one. Those days are over. Now, do I think there's an oversaturation of belts and stuff? Sure. But you know what?
But we're talking about an amateur event that a kid in 5 or 6 years, whether he becomes a fighter or not, says, you know what? He's going to talk about, and his friends, his family come over and they see the belt. they don't understand it was
That's
an amateur
important.
show. They're going to say, oh, man, you got a belt for that fight?
And you know what? These kids, and we see it, we're in the trenches every day. We see how hard these kids work. And a lot of these people don't realize how hard these kids work, cutting weight, showing up to a show their opponent doesn't show. If a kid could, you know, I believe if you compete in one amateur fight and win, lose, or draw, you know, that's a success because there's so much that goes into just, you know, our friend Jimmy Birchfield used to tell me, until the bell rings, the fight is in jeopardy. You know, he taught me that. Until the two guys are in the corner, and even then, I'll never forget Jimmy saying, Mr. B, I'll never forget it, years ago, AJ, until the bell rings, it's in jeopardy. And I've always taken that, like, I'll follow up with guys every day. Hey, everything good with your list? And I feel like I'm being a pain in the ass, but you got to be. Because if you don't, you know what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Hey, you good?
It's gonna fall.
Yeah, he's on vacation. Actually, can't fight.
Yeah, he can't fight.
So I'll never forget Mr. B telling me that maybe in 2016, 17, until the bell rings, the fight's in jeopardy. And it's true. And he's...
yeah, he's seen some crazy things, too. And,
Yeah.
And, you know, we've seen some, too. We've heard it. We've heard different avenues around it. And, you know, look, again, you know, we've created a really, really great event here now.
It's fun. And you know, it's fun. It's during the summer. I mean, we did it, you know, I'm always trying to find, there's always a lot of conflicts in junior. You got graduations, end of school, you know, USA Boxing always has a JO National. So you try to find where it fits, but you know what? Listen, it's fun to come to. You're in the arena. You know, the Danbury Arena has got an arcade for the kids. They got a nice lounge upstairs. It's a cool place to be. You know, you're not kind of cooped up. And we've done shows here. You know, you're not cooped up at a show and you're stuck on a bleacher for 3 hours and there's nowhere else to go.
It's coming to an event not only for the fan. You know, the fan can see, you know, great amateur boxing. You know, we pride ourselves in putting good matches out there. And we really have had some good matches over the years. I mean, so many that, you know, and so many numerous pros that have come to that event that have turned pro out of there. And, you know, our successful pros, great trainers. I mean, you know, across the board, you know, so many names to name. But, you know, as a fighter, you get to fight in an arena.
Yeah. And that's big.
And it's like almost like fighting, you know, like.
You hit it on the head, Coach. You know, 9 out of 10 guys in amateur boxing are never going to go pro. And of the 1 out of the 10 guys that may go pro, guys or girls, of that one, they may be fighting in, you know.
Come on, you were.
You look, we've been, and no knock on it. You know, these club shows in the pros, you're fighting in little arenas.
Yeah, junk places.
You know what I mean? So my point is, you know, to be able to fight in an arena, that a lot of pro boxers with 10 fights haven't fought in an arena.
Yeah, and you know what? You know, as an athlete, man, you played hockey, you played sports, I played sports. When you go to that special place and say, oh, we're playing over there today, or we're fighting over, that's got to pump you up as an athlete.
Yeah.
You know, that takes you to another level. Like, okay, you know, you're actually in a dressing room. You're preparing in a place that other people have fought in, played in. You know, the Danbury Arena, like you said, it's a facility. You know, you come in there, you got concession, you got luxury box, you got arcade. You know, it's air conditioning. You know,
good food.
Yeah.
And again, there's, you know, garage attached to it, which is nice. There's local restaurants around. You know, and you know what? There's still room to improve. Like, even from a presentation point, I mean, as we continue to grow, hopefully get some more support, you know, sponsor-wise.
You know, great sponsors. You just said it, like, you know, over the years.
Well, it's not, listen.
Over the years, we've been blessed with sponsorship out there. Once again, don't want to miss anybody out. But, you know, the people who have been sponsoring, again, thankful because, like you said, it takes a village.
It's not possible without them. But not only is it not possible without them, I mean, you could you know, you could put something together. It's just the quality. We can't be at the Danbury Arena without the sponsors. And, you know, every year it's like, how do we make it better? This year I love the belts. And you're like, WBC's got the green belt. Everyone knows the green belt. We got the flame belt now. So we got the black belt. We got the jewels in the center with the fire glove, the Sizzler fire glove. And on the belt this year is printed the flame. So hopefully the flame belt becomes like, oh, I need that belt. I mean, listen, it's not a coincidence. When I post the belt, I know I'm going to get lists that night. So that's why I post that very early on, even before it comes to us from Pakistan, right? I post the concept like, here's the belt. Like clockwork. Here's my list. Here's my list here. Guys I've been chasing. Hey, you got I'm telling you, it's cool. And you know, again, because of the sponsors, we're able to have those type of amenities, and hopefully next year I already got ideas next year what we can do better and how to make it, you know, fun for everybody.
So, you know, with the Sizzle, let's start there real quick. Tickets are still available.
Yeah.
We have tables also at you know, they're going fast. So if you,
I had to add some table. I mean, which is a good problem. I had to add a couple tables. Thank God Durant's had them. But you know, for $350, a table of 10, you know, you get some soft drink included. You get some food. We got amazing sponsors: Brian Lugo, you know, Biscotti's, John's Pizza. I mean, these guys are always supporting us and making that whole sector of it. The VIP section is awesome. I mean, you get to be on the floor. The only ones on the floor are the fighters and VIP. And there's not a bad seat in the arena. It's at the door, it's $20 for a ticket. And advanced pricing's $15. You know what I mean? And there are a couple tables left. They're going to go.
You can go to Champs Boxing, get your tickets, Venmo, Pay, Cash App, PayPal, all that good stuff.
However you want to do it, we'll find a way. We'll get it from you.
You know, you want to accept IOUs. We're not taking IOUs.
No more IOUs,
okay?
Yes, no more.
We're moving there. So, you know, we got that going on. You can check my social media also as it goes. If you need anything, you can reach out to either one of us. But tell us a little bit about more Ice Wars as we wrap up here. Is it going to be streamed? Can we watch it? I know the event's in Detroit, and, you know, what can we expect there?
Yeah, I believe, and look, I'll be honest, and this is probably something you could put in the description box. It is going to be streamed. We got multiple platforms. I'll be honest with you, a lot of it's still being worked I know it's going to be on the BKFC app, I was told, which is huge. I believe Fight TV is going to have it. I believe...
I think Fight TV had it the last time.
Yes, they were the originals. They're going to have it. I believe Fubo, if you have Fubo. I had it at one point.
Wow, you're going to have it all over.
So there's going to be, and again, things are still going as we speak. So there's going to be a lot of outlets. I mean, everything now, the streaming, I mean, there's so many different streams, and, you know, we'll get it all out there, and it's. So
are you going to be doing commentary again, or are you going to be?
I don't know. Whatever is needed
cut.
of me, back of the house, front of the house, in the fans, cleaning.
We're not letting
messes.
Simon do commentary,
No,
though, right?
No.
Okay,
I mean,
good.
look. Hopefully we get big enough where we need like a French commentary team. We could put him there, but the English commentary team, no, Simon won't be there. But we're hoping, like I said, we're hoping to do a lot of behind the scenes content. You know, everything's content now, so a lot of different. It's gonna
if you have access to that BKFC, you know, social media team, there'll be a lot of access because they're pretty good at putting that stuff together.
And that's what we
there.
need, and that's what we need, and we'll get there. I mean, we're still brand spanking new technically. I mean, you know, you think about boxing. Whenever boxing was created. Think about their third show, what that must have been like. That's where we're at here. So there's a lot of pressure for us to, you know, there's a lot of buzz, but there's a lot of pressure to put it, you know, put on a great product, and each one will get better and better.
The product though now is like, look, the ability to put it out there puts the pressure on there because you're not just centralized or local to your local channel. You're global now.
Yeah.
So that product's going out across the world. So it is that. But you know what? AJ, you know, I appreciate you coming down, and you know, we wish you a lot of luck here. You and Charlie Nama, you know, I know it's going to be a good event, and we wish you a lot of success here. Also, you know, Dave Feldman and BKFC, you know, for being a part of it with you guys, and
we have seriously, and I hate. I'm like you. I don't want to start rattling names because I'll forget some, but we have. Such a great back end, and we have a really good core group of guys and girls involved, and it's gonna keep it rolling.
Yeah, so you know, look, you can find information at Champs Boxing. Also, AJ Galante. Did you guys come up with an Ice War page?
Yeah,
yet?
I believe it's at BKFC Iced, ICED. We're actually gonna have a separate page. I believe it's Ice Warriors Official, which is gonna be it's part of Ice Wars, but it's going to be a little different content, more behind the scenes with the guys, and get a little more into who they are, outside of fighting and this and that.
And if you really have some problems, we'll give you Charlie's home phone number. You can
absolutely,
call him.
Email. We'll give him an email.
You could call and talk to him directly. He loves to respond to everybody. And we're just kidding, Charlie, man. But we wish you guys great success out there. And once again on Coach's Corner, I'd like to thank the people that are supporting me, not only AJ and Champs Boxing, but my guys that get elevated, Dan over there for the gear, Gareth McCluskey at FarmerStrength, Joe and Sue Ann at Foundation RX and Hummus Fit. We appreciate you guys and, everything you send and put to us. And we'll catch you again on Coach's Corner. Train hard, train smart, and we'll see you in the next round.